What's up, guys, and welcome back to Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and of course, Justine is right there with me. If it's your first time here, we are a show that showcases the importance of music and mental health. Sometimes Justine and I will share our own stories, and other times we will be joined by some wonderful guests to share their stories. I know we say this every time, but if you are liking what you are hearing, remember to share, like, and subscribe to our show. It would really mean a lot to us and help us out. And you can also leave us that star rating as well. No pressure for that 5 one. But go ahead and do that on any app you're listening to this right now, because we are new at this. So it would be awesome to hear some feedback. You can always head over to our website at www.stereotherapypod.com, read the blogs, and yes, they're finally all updated. I finally got through it. So head on over there and read and check them out. You can also listen to the podcast there and listen to our playlist. Today, we are talking about the one and only Stephanie Germanata. But if you don't know who that is, you do. We are talking about the one and only Lady Gaga. She's a powerhouse on stage, but beyond the stage, she is another mental health trailblazer, and she's so important to talk about. So, Justine and I are so excited to do this one. Justine, it is Saturday. We are here. How are you doing?
I think we both know we're on the struggle bus today a little bit, but I'm doing pretty good. I went and dopamine shopped and got some Halloween goods from Target. And then along with my regular grocery shopping, but like I heard their stuff was out, so I had to charge on over there and I was happy. So
Y- Your
otherwise I'm pretty good.
your Target is cool because the one by me doesn't, and I did dopamine shopping for that, but in a different way. G and I went to Old Navy, and I didn't wanna get Halloween stuff yet because I was just like, "Oh, it's expensive," but I have 3 new Halloween shirts through the wash right now, like, all these packs of Halloween socks. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is," but it was such a great boost, but my Target sucks. My Target is behind on that.
I honestly was surprised. Like there was quite a bit more than I expected, but they were still putting stuff on the shelf too. So, I would give it like next week or so. You might have some on yours too.
Oh, thank God, I need it. But
I know.
we are both on this struggle bus, but we're here and we're excited, and that's why it's funny when people tell me, they're like, especially G's, like, "Lisa, you guys have put out an episode every single week for how many weeks? That's impressive." And I'm like, "I'll be honest, there are some weekends where I'm like, are we gonna make it?" Because life just happens, but we make it. So I guess, you know what? We are doing a good job there, even if we're on the struggle bus.
I mean,
Uh,
we definitely appreciate everybody that's given
yes.
us such amazing support and everything thus far. And, I definitely think a lot of it with our consistency, I can't even talk, our consistency is the fact that we're best friends. So it kind of helps us keep
Uh,
on track.
right? Like, hey, come on, we gotta pull it together. But I think so too. I think that helps because, man, like today, if there was ever a day for me to be like, we gotta pull it back a little bit, I don't know, it would be today. But we're here and I'm excited about this. So we got this. But yeah, again, this is gonna be another episode that I'm so excited about. And I know, and again, much like Slipknot for Justine and I, even if you're not a fan of Lady Gaga, I think you'll leave this episode having a lot of respect for Lady Gaga and what she does in terms of mental health, um, chronic pain, and just being an all-around wonderful human being to every single person. And I mean, let's just get into it. Let's just get into Lady Gaga because she's just amazing. And she's just someone that I think we all remember no matter where we were, who we were with, and how we heard of her. We remember it. And yes, we have had so many pop stars just around, and with her, we knew something was going to be different. And my intro to her was like when she was Stephanie at Lollapalooza and she was on the piano. And I had no idea that Lady Gaga was her. And like looking back into it, I was like, holy shit, like that was her. Like I walked by that stage. I had no idea who Stephanie Germanato was. So I was like, she sounds great. She's beautiful, but no idea. And again, like hearing who she was after that, like it was just so different than anything out there. And I think we all had opinions on Lady Gaga, but I think we all had no idea what was to come. And I think so many labeled her right away. And looking back at her career now, it's like all these years later that none of us had any idea what was in store. And I love that about her. And I think whether it was her outfit she wore, like the infamous meat dress, but so many thought it was for animal rights. And it was something or for something for attention, but I actually did a little digging because I did not know that it was because in another interview, her mom was basically saying that, "Oh, it's more there's more to the story," and I was like, "Oh, what is the story? I gotta dig." It was actually to show her in protest for the "Don't ask, don't tell" policy for the military. I had no idea, like, that's why she wore that meat dress. Like, did you have any idea, Justine, about that?
I think I remember seeing that it was more than like, an animal rights thing, but like I've forgotten because it's been so long.
Right. Yeah.
But like that's one of those things. Like sometimes the weird and bizarre has been it stood for something deeper. And I don't think a lot of people caught on to that. They just thought she was weird, you
Yeah.
know?
I had no idea when I dug for that, I was like, "That," and I think it's just, like, amazing to think, like, there was more to it, and yet anybody was just like, "Oh, the meat dress, she's weird," and I just think Lady Gaga was just ahead of a lot of people during that time, and this was just one snippet into that, and for someone like myself, just fresh out of being out of an art school dropout, because art school was not for me, and seeing someone not afraid to be unapologetically themselves just really hit me, and I was a fan of Lady Gaga, what she was representing versus her music in the beginning, and I think a lot of people maybe were that way, like, not saying I didn't like
I was
her
like
music,
that.
right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I liked most about her and how she made, like, a little bit of an impact on me for sure because it it was just, eh, it was her, like, and again, like, hey, she had the hits. I'm not gonna say I wasn't singing to Poker Face or Just Dance or any of that, but I don't know, something about her image just I loved so much, and I think she just made such an impact on me, and it just I've been so lucky in music too to see her, and I've said it a few episodes back about what class she just has for her fans, and on that cold day in Chicago, and we just adore her so much here on this podcast, and I mean, I think for me, a big impact with Lady Gaga was when she put out "Till It Happens to You," and when I was really just so in awe of her because she just used her platform on that big stage at the Oscars to sing this song and bring actual survivors on, of sexual assault and have this moment for them and her, and it was just such a powerful thing, and it really just stuck with me, and as a sexual assault survivor myself, one of those things, she was just to use that platform for that and invite others as well to know that they weren't alone just meant so much to me, and I'm sure so many, and it was just at a time of my life when I wasn't yet comfortable sharing that about myself, very few people knew that about me. I don't even think I told my mom for such a long time either, and it was just one of those things that I was so just admired her for that and doing that, and I also saw this, when I did a little digging too, that some of the survivors were saying how kind she was, taking the time with each and every survivor on stage, and there was even talks of that, they all got matching tattoos, I think, too, from what I saw from somebody that was actually on stage, and I think, again, that just speaks to Lady Gaga and who she was, and I just always adored her Lady Gaga, but seeing her so open about that, using that platform made me that fan, much like when Hayley Williams, I became that fan with her. It was the same thing, but in a different way. And again, another thing I just loved that she said, and I find this quote so interesting was when she said, "Some women choose to follow men, and some choose to follow their dreams. If you are wondering which way to go, remember your career will not wake up and tell you that it doesn't love you anymore." And I have carried that with me, posted that, whatnot for years. And I think I know before anyone is hearing this, they're like, "But you did follow a man because I came here to New Jersey." But for a long time, I put this music thing on the back burner, and a lot of it was due to because, "Oh, I can't do it because I'm dating this person or that person," and I guess seeing someone like Lady Gaga, I mean, she's, like, so close in age to us too, which is insane to think
Yeah.
about,
I always
and
forget about that.
right, it's insane to think about, and it just was so important to have her, I'm gonna say in my life because she is through music, but I wish, other ways, but I mean, she's in
Yeah.
and she's one of those people that it was like, it's okay in a world that's telling you, "Be a mom by 30, do this by this," and her basically being like, "It's okay if you follow your career," and I think it just really it just stuck with me, and I could gush about Lady Gaga and her impact on me and music and life, but I wanna hear from you, Justine. I wanna hear your take because even though we both love Lady Gaga, I don't know if we've shared that like, to each other, like, about the impact of her. I mean, we make posts here and there
Yeah.
about Lady Gaga, but, like, how has she impacted you and your thoughts on music?
I know we've never really gone in full depths of it, but I think it's because we've also kind of had this episode in the back of our minds for a
Yeah.
while. We knew we were gonna make this for a long time. So, we could probably save a lot of our thoughts for now. But I think that there hasn't really been a lot of pop singers who would focus on being different and creating like an artistic, strange visual like Gaga has. I was trying to think, and I feel like really the only one before her that kind of did that in a way was Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
Um, and like with Cyndi Lauper, even like she got a lot of criticism, in particularly for having a really catchy song that was a single that was about masturbation, and that was kind of before her time for the most part as well. Um, and I don't know if anybody realizes this, but where Lady Gaga got her name was from Radio Gaga from Queen. And I am, if anybody knows me, I am a huge Queen fan. I have Freddie Mercury's writing on my arm. I have Freddie Mercury's picture as a sticker on my car. Um, he is also a bisexual icon. And so knowing that's where she got her name, like for me, just even more cemented, like, oh my gosh, like amazing, you know? But I think Gaga really took it beyond like Cyndi Lauper, because the songs had a story, a show, and the
Mhm.
fashion. It was all a part of that story. Her voice has so much range, and she's proven that she's more than just your average pop singer. She's sung with quite a bit of people that I don't think anybody would really match her with. She has sung with Metallica before. We all know, has, you know, been with Beyonce.
Yep.
Florence Welch from oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name of her
Florence.
actual band? Florence and the Machine.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
It's
I
alright.
am like, oh my gosh, it's one of those days, guys. I'm so sorry. She had also collaborated with Marilyn Manson, which we know now is very problematic, but I still feel like that collab should be noted because it's totally different, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
aspect.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
she's collaborated with Blackpink, which is K-pop, and the late great Tony Bennett, who, if you don't know him like
Mhm.
me, I am somebody that grew up around his music. He is kind of like Frank Sinatra in a way.
Oh, I love
Mm.
her work with Tony Bennett.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I think, like, especially the song "Cheek to Cheek," and I think with her,
Oh, I
she
know.
is just I think that really showed people too that already thought, "Oh, she's just this or this gimmicky or whatever." I think that really showed them that and in later on too, but I
Yeah.
think that when she really is talented and can really sing anything. Like, and like you said, the collaborations, like,
Yeah,
you know, even I know she did a song with Ariana Grande too. Like all these powerhouses that she's done and it's different types. I think that just
yeah,
shows how talented she really is.
I agree. I think it also shows that, like, she has a great influence not on just different genres, but also different generations, which I think we don't see a lot with a lot of, musicians and singers. It's usually like they only go for like the younger crowds and like what's hip. She aims for the younger generation, the generation she came from, which is like millennial age, but also like, she does tie in like the things that helped raise her. So, there is a tie to like the boomer generation and even Gen X in a way. And I feel like that really just goes to show that she is both a great musician and a great human being, because for her, it's not just about the main target, younger generation. It's about everybody and like all genres of music.
Oh, like she's just I just I think all everything about her musically too. She's just someone that is so just important. And I think um again, like when you look at everything she's done, like from the start to now, and she's still, and oh, someone's gonna kill me for this, but the movie, oh, A Star is Born, and you even look at stuff there too that she like has done, and that I was like, I can't think of the name. Like, why can't I think of this?
That's okay.
But I like even that, like how talented, like I think, or even look at what she's done with American Horror
I
Story.
was gonna
Like,
say, don't forget American Horror
oh
Story.
my
She did
God,
great
she
on
was
there.
amazing at this Countess. Like literally, I think that too. And I think she really showed people that wanted to box her in
Yeah,
that, hey, I'm not gonna be boxed in. I have a lot of talent.
exactly.
And I mean, yeah, like Lady Gaga is just, oh, she's so great. And I think we have to talk about her impact on mental health. And that's another reason we wanted to do this episode. And she's just such a trailblazer for the mental health world on and off stage. And I think she's just someone that I really had no idea. I always knew she was great. And I've heard fans speak of her, I've heard people speak of her, but it was just until I really started digging when I knew we were gonna do this, I really was like, "Wow." And, like, I knew again, like, you knew about this, Justine, but I
Yeah.
didn't, that there was a Born This Way foundation, and I mean, I had no idea, like, no idea this existed, and it's the most amazing thing ever, so I'm glad I figured it out, but it caters to our youth and their mental health needs. And I think it's just something that is completely overlooked, and how the youth goes through so much and they are really sort of pushed aside in their feelings and suck it up. We had it worse. And we even see it in like our age group, like me in my 30s, right? Like I think
Yeah.
growing up, there was a lot of things that just weren't out there, whether it's resources or education. And like, I had no idea even what anxiety was. Like, and looking back, I'm like, I had every single sign of this. Like I said, I'm probably ADHD, which when I get that diagnosis, it'll be the most freeing thing in my life. But like, it's one of those things looking back, I see that. I saw that. Like, and again, I'm not faulting my parents. I'm not faulting teachers or anyone, because we just didn't have the education. And I think it's so wonderful that this foundation not only looks into ending the stigma, but showing how we can see the signs, what resources, and kind of make it a better place for our youth to be comfortable in sharing things. And also just whether it's a teacher around or whoever counselor, that hey, like we have to take this into consideration. And I just think that's so wonderful. And I think I wish that I had something like this growing up. Like we had stuff, but a lot of the messaging was, you know, oh, you're crazy, or like, God forbid you said you took medication. Like, it just is such a different time. And I think I love what this foundation stands for. And I mean, she started this with her mom, Cynthia. And I think a lot of it was like her mom basically had said that, how Lady Gaga was someone that looked at her young fans going through so much. And even like Lady Gaga's mom was saying that she saw so many things with her daughter that looking back, it was they just didn't have the education. It just was such a different time. And I love that they're really working together for this. And kindness is at the forefront of this great foundation and validating those emotions of young people. And I think that's so important too, because how many times have you gone up to someone, whether it is your parents or someone like a spouse, whoever, and like, hey, I'm having a really difficult time. I'm struggling. I mean, there'll be times we'll go into a new place or a party and I'll look at G and I'm like, dude, I'm like shaking. Like I'm having a moment. Like I'm not good right now. And at least I'm comfortable in that. And he now understands that and we understand each other. But like years ago, there's no way I would have said that. I would have just been quiet. And if I was awkward with someone, I was awkward. Like it's just very different. And I think we need to validate those emotions too. And again, this foundation is like how to communicate with kids struggling and help end the stigma. And they have put mental health aid in schools to help those educators and educate them with resources. And Lady Gaga just really wants to change all this because again, like growing up for her being close in our age, how hard it was. And again, like we were just told so many things. Like if you had a mental illness, you were crazy. And I still we hear some of that messaging, but it's not as bad as it was back then. And I love that there's such a thing like this foundation out there. And um I just love where we're headed. And I just love that Lady Gaga has also been so open about having just such a difficult time because even now and how that hasn't changed just because her fame she still struggles with PTSD, anxiety, depression. And I think that's important too because so many people think, "Oh, you have everything, like you can't be struggling." Or maybe you struggled before, but you're better now because you went to therapy. And yes, therapy is great, but I think it's really great that she's showing that, hey, it's an ongoing everyday battle. Like it's something that we have to take care of. And again, I mean, she also talked about there was a time she couldn't even go to her studio to record. Uh and just because of her mental health and her state where she was. And I think um there's something also that has so much effect of mental health, and that's just what can happen. And especially when she talks about her chronic pain, which I know, Justine, you're going to go into, so I won't touch on it, and like what she deals with fibromyalgia. But that's another thing, like you've said, and I love, Justine, that you brought this up, and it sticks with me still, and how our environment and things like that, or injuries, or our health can affect our mental health. And it's so important. And I love that Lady Gaga is open about that too. But uh, Lady Gaga is just so wonderful. And again, she's just so important, and not only music, but to I mean, I'm gonna say it's gonna sound cheesy as hell, but to the world right now, she really is. Like she is
Yeah.
just so important. And the fact that she just is someone that we see on this big stage, and knowing that she experiences maybe the same things I do, but differently, with her anxiety and depression or PTSD, and just that she still is up there on these huge stages and just creating art when it's like I struggle, like I've said before, like I struggle sometimes to shower in a day because of my mental health. Like I have so much respect. And I know, Justine, you're going to go into some more things, and I'm excited to see where you kind of take this.
Yeah, I don't want to like forget to mention as well is, the Born This Way Foundation, but it kind of goes into that is just her work with LGBT as well
Yes.
as LGBT youth because um if you've ever gone to Pride, you will always see Born This Way flags because
Mhm.
she has had such a big, profound impact on everybody in the LGBT communities. She's always been very involved with drag as well, and everything going on. She has never strayed away from being political, which a lot of times, especially with like mainstream kind of pop stars, sometimes you don't always see that. Um, and she is LGBT herself, which I think a lot of people forget. And in particular, she's bisexual, and there it has upset with people sometimes because like there's been a quote where she says that she has been welcomed in the community that um is not quite her community, which the reason why she said that, I know, because of also being a millennial who is bisexual, we constantly have these battling feelings of like we don't truly belong in the LGBT because there's the idea of we can like kind of mask, right, if we're in a hetero relationship.
Mhm.
And but she still is, that's another like kind of mental health component, I feel. So I was like, I feel like I should kind of mention that in here,
Well,
you know.
what's funny is not funny, but, because I was gonna go into that with, when we talk about our favorites with Born This Way, so you said it
Oh,
perfectly, like,
I'm
even
so
better.
sorry.
No, my god,
Getting ahead
no,
of
I
you.
love that we're, like, on the same page of, like, the
Yeah.
importance of that. No, I love that. I was like, "Oh, it's good. This is perfect."
You could always go on more about it as well in
There
the
we go.
song, but
No,
like
you're good.
I I think a lot of times people, unless you're in the LGBT community, fail to see that sometimes there's a lot of crossover when it comes to mental health because of the fact that you deal with either family that just cast you aside, you're outcasted, you might have friends that you lose, or like you don't feel like you're involved in any matter, which is sometimes what happens with bisexual and pan, I think, where we don't feel like we fit anywhere exactly. And I know that happens a lot with trans people as well.
Mhm.
And she's always been there for everybody, even if she has trouble like placing herself, even though she is a part of the community. And I think just the fact that she's always been standing by the LGBT side, no matter what's been going on in the world, I think is also incredibly important for mental health as well. But I am also just so personally grateful for how open she has been about her mental health and her experiences. When I saw her Netflix documentary for the very first time, and I think I mentioned this before in like our mental health episode in the very beginning of the podcast, but I broke down in tears because
Yes.
that was honestly the first time I have ever heard anybody talk about the same things that I go through. And at the time, I was not diagnosed, but at the time as well, like to hear that for the first time from somebody that's so important and does all these amazing like feats, like she's done like Super Bowl like
Mhm.
shows and stuff like that. And you don't think about people like that having any issues that are similar to yourself, you know? And like I really took that to heart. And that documentary was like the gateway to the obsession. Okay.
Mhm.
It's like
Oh,
I like you
yep.
said, I didn't hate her, but I didn't like dive into her because at the time, with certain people in our lives, especially being a woman and being in an abusive relationship, you feel like you're not allowed to listen to something that's poppy.
Mhm.
And so I tried to be very anti pop for the longest time. And I didn't dive into her, but I was like, I had heard how great this documentary was. So I watched it and that was it. That was like, I constantly was listening to her after that and finding out more and more about her. If you're not aware, but you've already kind of talked about it, but she was repeatedly sexual assaulted at the age of 19, which made her develop PTSD from that. And anybody who has dealt with SA or abuse in any manner, like, and getting PTSD, like, just hearing that from somebody that's so open and so big and is successful, just, it just really hits to know that, like, you can still be more than your disorder, you know? And she has even been open about having, and this is her own words, not mine, a psychotic break, which I think is super important that she's open about that, because she talks about how after all of the things she endured at 19 happened, she immediately rose really high to fame. So she never really confronted what had happened, and it was just
Mhm.
bottling up until finally, like, she snapped. And she's been very open about that. And I think so many of us can relate to that. And I'm one of them,
Mhm,
where,
same.
I was with my abusive ex for 12 years, and anything that bad was happening, I bottled it up because I thought I was supposed to. And I
Mhm.
didn't really talk about it to people. But everybody who was around me was seeing it, and I didn't know. Like,
Mhm.
oh, and until one night, a fight happened, and that was it. And I was done. And I was like, I need to get out of here. And then it all kind of perpetuated from there, of realizing and seeing and dealing with all of that, and then myself getting diagnosed with CPTSD, and just to see somebody so, again, just so big and, famous, talk about these things as well, just makes you not feel alone. And especially with that documentary, I had no idea what was wrong with me, and I didn't know I was in pain all the time, and I didn't have a support because I was with my ex at that time. And hearing her say a bunch of the same thoughts I had had, but I didn't talk to anybody about, and for her to talk about all the things she goes through, which I was going through at the time, and nobody was listening to me, doctors or anything, and it just was so impactful for me, and I know for others. And we deal with the fact that so many people think that fibromyalgia is made up,
Mhm.
that we're all just being overly sensitive, and it's not a real condition. But trauma has been a big component of what develops it. So for me, it was a combination of, and I know because in the autistic community, there's a huge component of the vast majority of us having fibromyalgia. So, and being late diagnosed, especially. So, if you are masking all your life, I didn't get diagnosed till 34. It makes sense why I had all this internalized pain. And then on top of that, the abuse I endured and having CPTSD. It's just the fact that so many people don't believe that's a thing is just wild to me still to this day. And it's having her be the, honestly, I think she's the first famous person to talk about fibromyalgia. I, at least that I know of.
I mean, same
Um
here. Like, honestly, when you were
yeah,
even said that and about the documentary and just her, I
yes.
I don't I can't think of anyone else.
And if there is somebody else, if somebody knows of any other famous people that
Yeah.
have been open about it, please let us know in like the comments or anything, because I don't personally know of any that have been open about it like she has been. Um, but like when you're in constant pain and you have trouble managing that pain, it affects your mental health like so incredibly worse. If you had mental conditions beforehand, it makes it even worse because you never know when you're going to have a good day. And even if it's a good day, you're not at a 0 for pain scale. You, like, I tell people all the time, like, a good day for me is like a 6 out of 10. I think a lot of people have trouble understanding that there is never a day where there is not pain at all. There's just days where you can do things while you're in pain. And then there's other days where you can't get out of bed. There's a lot of days where I do not leave the couch and I'm just laying there in pain. And there's a lot of things that need done around the house or things that I need to do, and I can't get them done because I'm in pain. And that in turn affects my mental health. If you're not aware, because I was not aware until probably like the last few months, that there was an interview that she did with Oprah, and it was done in like 2020. She talks about how she's planning on devoting and dedicating time and money to try to find more research and to help try to find a cure for all of us. And I honestly, if there's anybody that I could put my total faith in trying to figure that out, is Lady Gaga. The fact that she has it, she's been so open about it. And we know that she like takes her time to help others. I truly believe she is going to put her heart and soul in trying to figure it out for us. And I think that really just stands apart about her from people. And just, it just is the reason why I love her so much.
I can relate so much to you even saying about your past relationship because when I went through a lot too, there was a period I blacked stuff out and people had no
Yeah.
idea when I later, like 9 years later, finally said, "Hey, this happened." I think that's also another topic that I think some people forget that
Yeah.
you can still suffer and be an SA survivor in a relationship because
Yeah.
people often think of it as someone you
Like your first date.
right, or like whatever, and you don't that you're
Yeah.
not in a relationship, and I suffered mine, and I think we have to be respectful of that and understand that, and I know to this day, Lady Gaga is someone that like others, and she's respected people that are able to out their people, she will not speak their name. She will not speak their name, she will not say who
Mhm.
assaulted her, and I think, um and that doesn't mean it didn't happen because I know a lot of people say
Yeah.
that, and I think we have to be respectful of that, and I just admire her for also being open about that and that like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I don't need to speak their name. I'm doing what I
And
need
I
to
think
heal."
another thing to note as well, because for myself, I cannot say my abusive ex's name.
Mhm.
And and people
Same.
that know me know that I refer to him, and I'm gonna tell the podcast and it's fine, but I refer to him as either he who we shall not name or Voldemort. And
Voldemort.
I go back and forth between the two, but
Mhm.
like I cannot say his name. If I say his name, then I have so many thoughts and
Yeah.
things happen and I can't get his name out of my brain. So it's not necessarily the thought of like, you know, that you are like protecting them necessarily, but you're protecting yourself sometimes too. And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't think that. They either think that it's made up because we aren't saying who it is, or that, oh my gosh, like I don't even know. But like the thing is, a lot of times, a lot of us like it it ruins that name for you. Like if I hear that
Mm,
name,
same.
I get like shell shocked. And it's been, let me tell you, as somebody who has had to work with childcare and lots of families, and the fact that this name is fairly common it's been a little rough. And I've had to like
Mhm.
try to tell myself like it's okay. Just because they have the same name, they are not the same person. You're gonna be okay. That doesn't mean that they're bad, like a bad person, but it's been interesting to say the least. And I don't know, like I don't know Lady Gaga. I don't
Mm.
know if she doesn't speak this name for the same thing, or if it is the fact that like it doesn't matter. Like she doesn't have to like go and ruin their lives as well in the process, which I feel like, that yes, sometimes that is certain people's healing paths, and that's fine. If
Mhm.
you can say their names and you can publicly like full on out them, I give you more power for that. And
Yeah.
I will support you. But the thing is, like, everybody's different. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that you can't say these people's names and you can't full on out them. And I feel like the fact that she's also one of those people is it it's helpful in a way to show like that we all heal in our separate ways, and that's okay. You don't have to be the one that's like completely, you know, shows and tells everybody every single detail. That's okay if you can't. But if you can and that helps you heal, that's fine too. And that's the thing I think is to remember is that healing is not linear and it's not going to be the same for everybody. And all that matters is if it's helping you. and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
Oh, 100, like, yes, yes, and to all of that, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's just why she's so amazing. And I mean, I
I
also,
know.
while you were earlier talking about fibromyalgia and celebrities, I actually saw, so there's a couple. So Morgan Freeman, um,
Okay.
actually Sinead O'Connor.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
yes. Oh,
oh.
she's another one we might do something because she's another
Yeah,
powerhouse.
we've
Um,
talked about having an episode about her, guys.
yeah,
So,
Janine Garofalo, like there's a couple of them,
oh,
but like,
oh,
yeah. So it's like, so again, if you have
oh,
another one, guys,
I'm getting goosebumps because it's like a lot of people that like
yeah.
I've always loved, and it's
Right,
just like, oh my
same.
god,
And
yeah,
it's wild, and it's oh, and I think, I mean, to end this episode, we got to kind of talk about a little bit of our favorites of Gaga because she's just incredible. And we already kind of touched on some, but I mean, I've got to go with obviously Born This Way, because it has become such an anthem. And I think,
yes,
I don't know if we were all ready for what was to come with this because it's such an anthem, and I love that, again, she is for and has been for that community, the LGBTQ community, before I don't want to say before it was cool because that sounds so, but before it was like
yeah,
the thing to do. She was there and recognizing their mental health, like you had said earlier, and like she literally, and again, I love anytime this song comes on, and although
oh yeah, I
it
never get tired of
like it I
it.
literally was cleaning my house today, like, yeah, I know, glamorous and exciting, and, like, but I was literally, like, having a and just it's so great, and I think it sends such a wonderful message, and I forever love that song, and I just love how what it has become, and I'm wondering how she feels about that, like, just hearing, like, how it is now and this massive thing, and oh, I just love it, and I bonded with my hairdresser, he also loves Lady Gaga, and we bonded over it and, like, how great she is, like, anyone I've talked to, it's like, it just she's so wonderful, I have yet to hear a negative other than, "Oh, her music sucks," from people, which
Yeah,
whatever, that's life, but, also, like, Perfect Illusion, I know, Justine, you love that one too,
I was gonna say it's on my list to
I
talk
think
about too.
this is just it's because we can relate, and I just oh my god. I think I don't know, just anyone, if you've been there, if you've heard what Justine and I have said in past episodes or even in this one, you've been there. It's a great song. Marry the Night. There's just something
Yes.
about that one. I
Oh,
don't
it's
know
good.
what it is. I've always loved that song. Um, and I got to give it up to Just Dance because it was one of the first, and
Yeah.
had I not heard that, I wouldn't have turned ahead and like, what the hell is this? And I think it just really showed that, yeah, she started out that way, but I love it, like what she has become. And I loved like that album, Joanne, because it shows
Yes.
obviously
Oh
I
my gosh.
loved Just Dance, but I think what she became, and I love looking back at Just Dance, like, yeah, that was my introduction, but like what I love the most, and I think it's not the Just Dance type song. They're like Poker Face, like, they're great, but I really just I'm glad I was on that musical journey with her to, like, the other things, and, I mean, obviously, I talked about Till It Happens to You. I mean, that's a favorite forever for so many reasons, but You and I is another one. I love You and
Yes.
and it's just I don't know what again, there's something, like, I think I love songs and music too. When I hear it, I can picture something in my head, like envision something going on. And You and I was one of those that, and G and I earlier on, like, I don't know, something about that song. And it's just, if I put it on now, I'm like inserting myself, like walking in the city and like just, I don't know what it is, but I think that's why I love her music so much. Um, but again, like I just, like whether it is A Million Reasons and her on the piano, like it just and I think that's why I also loved at the Super Bowl. She incorporated so many different, I don't want to say eras because she's not Taylor Swift, but there are
Yeah.
so many eras, I think, of her music that it's like when I looked at my favorites, I'm like, wow, okay, I had Just Dance, but then I had, you know, Million Reasons, Perfect Illusion, Born This Way, like Just Dance. And it's like Marry the Night, like all these different things. And like art pop. I loved art pop. I know a lot of people like loved or
It's
hate that.
very underrated.
And it's such an underrated. I just think I could go
Yeah.
on, and I think she's just, oh, just too many favorites. She's so incredible. And again, like if you watched her in A Star Is Born, even that, like oh, I can't. So incredible. But for you, I think, I mean, obviously, I know Perfect Illusion was a shared
Yeah.
one, but what are some of your favorites?
Like you said, Perfect Illusion. I don't
Yeah.
know if you realize, but that's about a relationship, but also so like the idea of social media. And
Oh,
yeah, and I think if you go back and listen to it, you could totally see that side of it.
yes. I always looked at the
Um,
relationship part.
yes.
Wow. Oh, well, I know
And
I'm
it's
doing
like,
later.
oh, yeah. Um, I have so many favorites. Like, I love Stupid Love because it came out during the
Yes.
pandemic
Yes.
when so many of us were solo, and it's fun and it's catchy and it's a song that I love to stim with and stim dance
Mhm.
to. Um, Million Reasons for me is important because after I left my abusive ex, it was one of those songs that I would put on in the car and sing at the top of my lungs and just cry and
Mhm.
just let it out with. Um, I have a soft spot, obviously, for Poker Face because it's about bisexuality. Love Game is great. Alejandro,
Oh, I
You and
love
I.
Alejandro. I love
Oh,
Alejandro.
good. Yes. I love Applause.
Oh,
Like
yep.
just I could go on forever. Like she has so many great hits and just great music and oh, it's just wonderful.
And I think even another one I just love because I love this, the sound of it is Telephone too, because I think like
Yes.
even though
Yes.
like, you know, it's like it's just something about that. And I also love like I think because whenever I hear it, I can envision her on stage and how she moves to that one on stage. Like
Yes.
I think just oh, and again, like I was so lucky to see her once at the United Center, and I can't wait again to see
Oh,
her
I'm so jealous.
because I've
I've been wanting to go for years
oh
now.
my God. And you know,
Yeah.
I'm so thankful it was before these ticket prices because like, oh my God,
Oh,
I
I
can only
know.
imagine now. But like,
It'll be wild.
oh, like, oh, everybody, like again, and much like our previous episode with Slipknot, even if you're not a fan of these artists, I think you can see why they're so important. And that's why I'm really glad that Justine and I have had so many different just artists to talk about because there's so many that are such mental health trailblazers that I think maybe you'll overlook. I had somebody listen to Slipknot and they're like, Lisa, I don't like Slipknot. I've never liked them. But they learned why they were so important. What Corey Taylor is doing with his foundation for PTSD and ending that stigma. And then you have what we talked about Lady Gaga today. Like these people are so important. And it's not about you don't have to even like just say you really love them after listening to something like this, but like just have that respect and like, wow, they're making a difference. And I think it's just that connection with music and mental health. So I hope you enjoyed this one because Lady Gaga, oh, she's just so, so important. And she's another one. Like I said, Slipknot will be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Again, cannot talk today, everybody, having trouble. But I think Lady Gaga will be in that. She will be
Oh,
in that.
absolutely.
Like she will
Yeah.
be in there and rightfully so. Any of these people we talk about in here, absolutely. But yes, I will update. Oh, and I will update a blog too with that video with Lady Gaga and
Oprah.
Oprah that Justine talked about and about the foundation too. I'm gonna have it up. So make sure you guys check that out at our website and do all that. And again, if you really like what you're hearing, again, I'm just gonna say it again. Just subscribe because it really helps push us out there to maybe people that'll find us. It's not about the numbers with us. We've said that a million times, and it's not. It just is it'll help get it in the ears of someone that it could help. So
Yeah.
again, yeah, like for sure. So you guys, thank you so much again for listening again. We will see you guys next week. It is hard to believe we are almost at the 6-month time of this podcast and it is insane to think
Is
about.
it
So
really?
yes, I
I
think
don't
it's
even know.
October. Yes, it's October. So it's
Oh my
like
gosh.
we're creeping up and we'll have to do something special. But again, thank you guys so much. And we will see you guys next Tuesday, bright and early. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.